So here I am with Louisa Rose, Chief Winemaker at Yalumba, and we're in the Eden Valley, which is where Louisa has a farm, and I'm just going to duck out of Louisa for a second and just pan around the Eden Valley, and what you might wonder, just panning around now, back to Louisa, there we go, is where are the vineyards? And you'll also notice it's very green, and lots of trees, and it feels high up where we are. So Louisa, tell me about the differences between the Eden Valley and the Barossa Valley, which are collectively of course called the Barossa.
Yeah, sure. Well, the Eden Valley is the hills, or the high country, around the sort of the north and the eastern side of the Barossa Valley. So it's higher in altitude. And the Eden Valley gets up to just over 600 metres above sea level, which is about 400 metres above most of the Barossa Valley. And that difference in altitude means that it's a cooler area, particularly cooler at night. So we tend to grow varieties here and make wines here that are more aromatic. It's a great Riesling place, of course, the Eden Valley.
Yeah.
Also grows Shiraz and other reds, and those wines tend to be a little bit finer and a little bit more perfumed than their cousins down on the Barossa Valley. And historically, we've often blended those, particularly with Shiraz, those wines together. So you get these lovely sort of high tones from the Eden Valley and the richness and the warmth from the wines from the Barossa Valley. But other things, I suppose, that make a difference. I mean, you've noticed, you commented about where are the vineyards. Well, I don't know whether your video camera can zoom up too closely to the rocks over there, but there's a lot of parts of the Eden Valley that have a lot of very big rocks, a lot of quartz, and a lot of sandstone, and it's just inhospitable country for growing grapes. There's so many areas that you just couldn't grow grapes in. Historically too, they were settled relatively independently of each other, although about the same time. The Eden Valley tended to be settled by more English immigrants who took up very large tracts of land and had these stations where they would have had cattle and some sheep and some horses.
And we talked about Mr. Gilbert of
Pusey Vale, of course, was one of those. He had thousands of hectares of land, and as a bit of a hobby, I think, almost planted a few grapevines in the 1840s.
And I love that description that you sent me some time ago of where Pusey Vale was located, and this incredibly inhospitable because of the wind, the gully winds site, and they had to put a big hedge and an orchard to protect the vines from the wind. So all of those things coming into the equation,
of course,
making it the less hospitable place perhaps to plant.
Frost in winter, of course, you can't plant grapevines. Well, frost in winter is not a problem, but of course the spring frosts are a problem. So there's not that many places in the Eden Valley where vines are going to grow. Whereas the Barossa Valley, of course, and we'll go down there later, it's much more what you'd expect from a wine region. Vines everywhere because there's more soil there. The vines can get their roots down. There's underground water there for the vines to find and to grow. So Eden Valley is a large area, but the actual vineyard area is a lot smaller. And
what you were saying, I'm sorry, I interrupted and spoiled your flow, but that in the Barossa Valley it was a very organised settlement. So lots of settlers being given their patch.
Yes,
so
that's right.
all of those growers who are not making wine largely, but selling their grapes to bigger producers. But in the Eden Valley, you've got much bigger plots of land with a very small amount of vineyards. Much less cheek by jowl vineyards, as you were saying.
Exactly. That's right. They were more pastoralist up here with their stations. They tended to be more, much more close sort of communities. And many of the early settlers that came into the Barossa Valley were the Germans, the Lutheran community down there, and that is still a very, very, very strong culture within that Barossa Valley.
Fabulous. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.